On an unusually cold winter morning in Silicon Valley, Elon Musk stood before a cracked mirror in his lavish penthouse, staring at his reflection. The face that the world knew, the confident, visionary entrepreneur, was gone. Instead, he wore an oversized jacket that looked like it had seen better days, frayed jeans and scuffed shoes. A scruffy, fake beard hid the clean-shaven face that typically graced business headlines around the globe. His usual polished, expensive appearance was swapped for something far more inconspicuous. With a quick glance at the clock, he grabbed a crumpled wad of cash from his desk, stuffed it into his pocket and left the penthouse. Today wasn't about business meetings or press conferences. Today, Elon was going undercover, not to escape his fame but to see how society would react when he looked like just another ordinary person. He had a plan, a grand experiment to test the boundaries of perception and behavior. The bustling coffee shop down the street, Brew Haven, was his chosen battleground. A quiet place where strangers came to sip lattes and lost themselves in their thoughts. Elon arrived at Brew Haven's door, the warm aroma of freshly ground coffee beans wafting out to meet him. He hesitated for a second, studying his reflection in the glass door. He didn't look like himself, not in the slightest. He was free. Free from the cameras, the expectations, and the endless demands of his tech empire. Today he was just another person. But his entry was met with suspicion. As he reached for the door handle, a burly security guard named Rick stepped forward, blocking his path. Rick's eyes scanned him up and down, his expression unreadable. "Hey, you can't hang around here, buddy," Rick said gruffly, sizing him up. Elon, unfazed, casually pulled out his crumpled cash. "I'm here to buy coffee," he said, his voice calm, no hint of arrogance. Rick paused, giving him a skeptical look. He didn't move but finally muttered, "Fine, but don't cause any trouble." Inside, the cafe was warm and buzzing with conversation. People sat at small tables, lost in their own worlds, tapping away at laptops or chatting over their drinks. Elon walked up to the counter where two employees stood. Ethan, a young man with a welcoming smile, greeted him first. "Good morning. What can I get for you?" Ethan asked, his tone friendly, almost too genuine for someone who didn't know this scruffy man. Elon felt a warmth at the interaction and smiled beneath his fake beard. "A cappuccino, please," he replied, his voice low but confident. Ethan rang it up, glancing at his coworker Cindy, who had barely looked up from her phone. Cindy, with her long dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, exuded impatience, her eyes barely lifting to meet the customer. When she did speak, it was with an unmistakable tone of disdain. "You've got to be kidding me," she muttered under her breath, clearly irritated by the man's appearance. Elon didn't flinch. His experiment had begun. Elon took his cappuccino to a window seat. He watched. Ethan, young and eager to serve, treated every customer with warmth and respect. Even when a difficult customer berated him for their order, Ethan simply smiled and took it in stride, apologizing profusely. But Cindy? She seemed to harbor an unmistakable air of superiority. When an elderly woman asked a question about the menu, Cindy snapped back curtly, barely acknowledging her presence. The contrast between the two employees was sharp. Ethan, embodying kindness, and Cindy, wrapped in a blanket of cold judgment. Elon couldn't help but feel a growing sense of disappointment. He had hoped for better. He had hoped that the world might be kinder to those who didn't fit the mold. But as he sipped his cappuccino, it was clear. Appearance mattered. It mattered more than it should. Finishing his coffee, Elon decided it was time for his next step. He walked back to the counter where Ethan was wiping down the counter. Cindy was still glued to her phone, clearly uninterested in anything but her own thoughts. "Hey Ethan," Elon said, his voice calm and steady. Ethan looked up, startled, but smiled when he recognized the kind tone. "You're a kind person. That's rare these days," Elon said, his words deliberately chosen. Ethan blinked in surprise. Thank you, sir," he responded, unsure of how to react. Elon handed him a sleek business card with only his name and a phone number written on it. "Call this number tomorrow," Elon said. "It's important." Cindy, who had been overhearing the conversation, scoffed. "You've got to be kidding me," she muttered. Elon looked at her calmly. "Kindness costs nothing, Cindy. Maybe you should try it." The next day, Ethan woke up with a strange sense of anticipation. He picked up his phone and dialed the number written on the card. To his shock, A voice on the other end identified itself as Tesla's HR department. He was transferred to an interview. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he stammered through his introduction. His nerves got the best of him, but he spoke with passion about his degree in automotive engineering and his dreams of working in the tech industry. By the end of the conversation, he had managed to convince them. 2 days later, his phone rang again. It was Elon Musk himself. "Ethan, welcome to Tesla. You're hired." Ethan could barely believe it. His life had just changed overnight. Ethan's first day at Tesla was a whirlwind. The office was sleek, modern, and filled with brilliant minds. He was quickly introduced to his team, and despite his nerves, he felt something new. A sense of purpose, a belief that his life had meaning beyond just getting by. He moved his family into a better neighborhood, one where his children could play in safe parks, and for the first time in years they could live comfortably. The stress of their old life, the never-ending bills, the worry about the future, melted away. Cindy, on the other hand, didn't fare as well. Her rude behavior and dismissive attitude didn't go unnoticed. After a few weeks, she found herself reprimanded for her lack of professionalism. The café's owner had received complaints about her unkindness, and it wasn't long before she was let go. She found it difficult to land another job as her reputation had preceded her. Despite her experience, the same disdain she showed to others seemed to catch up with her in a world where kindness was valued. Ethan's success had a ripple effect. As he continued to climb the ranks at Tesla, he remained humble and kind, always remembering how one simple act of kindness had changed his life. His story spread, inspiring others to be more empathetic and to treat those around them with respect, no matter their background or appearance. Elon, watching from the sidelines, felt a quiet sense of fulfillment. His experiment had shown him more than he expected. The power of kindness, the fragility of first impressions, and the impact one small gesture could have on another person's life. As he drove away from Brewhaven, he reflected on how little it took to make a real difference in someone's world. Sometimes all it takes is a smile, a moment of patience, or a simple act of kindness to change someone's life forever.